And welcome to PM Express tonight. This is your election headquarters. And this is your election headquarters, and we are counting down to that Ejisu By-Election. Ordinarily, we would not be paying attention at all to the Ejisu By-Election because the NDC is not contesting. But there is one name that has thrown this whole game wide open. And I'm talking about Aduomi. He's a former member of parliament for that particular constituency in Ejisu on the ticket of the NPP. He went to parliament 3 times from 2008. And as you will see, he is formidable when it comes to the number of votes that he manages to get for the party over the period that he was in parliament. He's really put the cat among the pigeons in the Ejisu constituency ahead of the by-elections tomorrow. He's posing a significant threat to the NPP's dominance there in Ejisu. And that is the only reason why we are interested tonight and why the president himself went there yesterday. The NPP make sure that they deploy the big guns on the ground. You don't do that if you know it was safe. The vice president was there. Everybody who mattered in the NPP was there in Ejisu campaigning because they know this man poses a threat. And let me show you why they are paying attention and they're deploying all the big guns there. Because this is Aduomi, whose average performance in the parliamentary elections since 2008 is 82.22%. That is his average performance there. Anybody who brings in this amount of votes over 3 separate elections is formidable. I don't care what you say about him. He is formidable. The people like him in that constituency. Yes, in the primary, he lost. And I'll show you how he lost to the late John Kuma. But when you put him in the race, when it comes to everybody else voting on December 7, the man who averaged over 3 elections, 82.22%, you can't take for granted. And obviously, the NPP is not taking him for granted. No wonder the president has been there campaigning. The vice president has been there campaigning. Everybody who mattered the party was there campaigning. Now, let's look at the historical trends as far as his performance in the Ejisu is concerned. He was the MP, and he first went to parliament in 2008. And in that elections, as you see there, he had 82.34%, right? The first time he went to parliament. And it was important because you will see when I begin to compare him to the man he replaced that this is not somebody you toy with, you can trifle with in terms of his performance in that particular constituency. I want to go back to the slide because, again, you look at 2012. He dropped again. He dropped slightly to 80.52%. But watch this. Before he got knocked off in the primary in the lead up to the 2020 elections, he got 83.79%. And you begin to see, when you begin to compare the trend since 1996, that is the highest percentage of votes any candidate has managed to garner for the NPP in the Ejisu constituency on a ticket of the NPP. You don't joke with somebody like that. And I isolate for you that year here, and that's Aduomi. Before him, the highest you probably see there is John Kuma, who comes in at 82.83%, right? But he holds the record. Aduomi holds the record. And he is a man who is now standing as an independent candidate on his own against his former party, a party on whose ticket he served in that constituency 3 terms. When he was there for those 3 terms. If you look at the gentleman who came before him, the former Foreign Affairs Minister under John Kufuor, right, who was there, and many thought he was formidable, but even him only managed to get a maximum of 78.80%, right? And so that tells you that Aduomi is significant. He's the first to move the party into the 80s, 80% and above, and then he's the first to also get 83%, 83.79%. If you round it off, you're talking about 84%. That is a formidable candidate. Even John Kuma, who many people know as another very strong candidate in the constituency, did not get that many votes when you look at it in percentage terms. So the numbers tell us that this is going to be a tough fight for the NPP there, considering the strength of this candidate who's gone independent, right? That's one thing to note. And this is how he lost. And this is where the problem started from. Because it is in this primary that he really raised major issues. He believed that the album that was used, the voters' roll that the party deployed for this particular primary in the lead up to the 2020 elections was rigged. It was rigged with a lot of discrepancies. Post the primary, he wrote petitions, they've told us, to the party, asking the party to consider it. He again maintains that his concerns have not been addressed. And so he claims that John Kuma's victory there, and it was close, 90 votes difference between himself and John Kuma in that primary. John Kuma getting 39.7%. He got 397 votes as against his 307 votes in that particular primary. And John Kuma made a very strong showing there, right? To unseat somebody like that, it's one that would take some doing. And that's why he was looked at as a rising star, both in the Ashanti region and in the party until his unfortunate death recently, for which reason we are having this primary. But this is where the problem started from. Aduomi never really accepted this outcome. Never did. Because he thought that voters' roll had been bloated somehow and people were on the roll deliberately put there to give John Kuma an advantage. So he complained. And we'll hear from him pretty shortly. But that's the story there. But then we come to the polling that has been done. And my friend from the Global Info Analytics will join me. They did this poll. And they were asking who will win. And it was simple. That in the end, when it comes to it, according to the Global Info Analytics poll, the NPP's candidate wins as far as the Global Info Analytics poll is concerned. Aduomi comes in a close second. But pay attention to the difference here. The difference is pretty small for a constituency that is an overwhelming stronghold of the party. This difference is worrying. And anything can happen. There are many, many factors that a poll will not pick up when you're polling for an elections. And you also pay attention to the undecided, 1.70%, except that even if you give all that to him, Aduomi, he still doesn't win. He still doesn't cross the 50% plus one votes. But there are factors unknown that you need to pay attention to. If you are in your stronghold and you get anybody who will code Ghana 47.50% of the votes, you pay attention to that individual. Now, again, they ask the question. NDC is not in the race, by the way, but who will the NDC supporters vote for is a key question. 92% of them say they will vote for Aduomi. That clearly is another factor that you don't properly factor into this particular equation here that can change the outcome. Remember that the NPP in that particular constituency almost got some 17,000 votes in Ejisu in the last election. So there's a significant number of people there who, again, are playing up in terms of what might happen in the national elections. Of course, they can't vote in this primary because it's only a small constituency of people in the NPP. But in a by-election, these people will count, right? Because they have a vote. And if they don't have their own candidate in there, who would they vote for? Global Info Analytics tells us that the NDC supporters, those 17,000 voters who voted for the NDC in the 2020 elections, tomorrow will be voting for Aduomi. That is a factor that can tilt the results in his favor. Again, if you look at that particular race there, floating voters, what would they be doing in that constituency? Will they be punishing the incumbent government for what, of course, is happening across the country, not only in Ejisu, by the way? What they see is happening, what the economic challenges that we've seen, the challenge with the power crisis that we've seen, all those will have a factor, right? And we know, as I've said on this show before, Doomsaw is the ultimate regime killer. Will people respond to the challenges that they're facing? Remember that Kumasi has borne the brunt of the energy crisis that we're currently facing, the erratic power supply. Will people respond to that negatively and vote for Aduomi just to protest, just to tell the party that you can't take us for granted? That, for me, is a key thing to watch also going into tomorrow, right? And the Global Info Analytics poll is giving us indications of what might happen tomorrow. But there's something else I wanted to isolate, and this is based on our own intelligence we picked up from Ejisu. Our colleagues at Love FM spend days in the constituency talking to voters. And one thing they told us is Aduomi really comes to this particular race as a civil engineer who has been a deputy minister under Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. In 2017, he was appointed a deputy roads minister because he came into that government from an opposition ranking member on the roads committee in Parliament as a civil engineer. And so he knew a thing or two about roads. Now, you talk to the constituents, and some of them tell us that as far as the constituency is concerned, the 21.4 kilometers of road that have been done there, some tell us that they credit Aduomi for those roads that were done. Because when he was a deputy roads minister, he lobbied for those roads to be done for that constituency. Whether that is true or not, some voters in the constituency believe that story. And he's been telling them same, that, listen, I was a deputy roads minister, I've been a civil engineer working at the Roads and Highways Ministry way before I became a deputy minister. And as a member of Parliament in 2012, even when we were in opposition, I was lobbying for roads for you, and they credit him for it. Will that play a role in this? And it's interesting because when you listen to the president yesterday, he said something that was interesting, and I'll come to that. But one thing that I also wanted to isolate for you is this particular picture. Why is this important? This could be deja vu, right? Because in the Ashanti region, we've had two instances historically for the NPP. There's precedent there that shows that people who go independent, who are strong when it comes to the general elections at parliamentary level, if they go independent, can win, even when they don't stand on the ticket of the party against the party's chosen candidate. An example is Joe Sowusu, who in 2008 also was aggrieved, went independent, won the elections in Bekwai, and of course, as we know, went to Parliament and did business with the NPP. They brought him back into the fold. I don't want to go far. I want to stay in 2020. Another example of Andre Siama, again in Fomina. He also was aggrieved, went as an independent candidate, against the party's chosen candidate. In the national elections, parliamentary level, he won. He's the only reason that the NPP is doing good business somehow, although they struggle sometimes in Parliament, in this hung Parliament. So is Aduomi seeking to do what Joe Sowusu and Andre Siama have done in the Ashanti region when it comes to the NPP? You cannot ignore this history. You cannot ignore this history. And both gentlemen were very, very strong, too, in their constituencies because they themselves believe they have something about them, right? And I remember the case of Andre Amakwesiama in his constituency where the president again went there to campaign against him. And he said that, well, they don't need him and that they can win elections. It turns out on election day, he ate a huge chunk of humble pie because the man won against all odds, against the NPP's candidate in that constituency. The NPP, they are aware of this in the Ashanti region, and that is why Aduomi's factor is one that they are losing sleep over, for which reason they sent in the big guns. I'm saying that when the national organizer joins me, I wonder if this is a picture that they are paying attention to going into tomorrow. And talking about the roads, the president himself was keen to emphasize this, because I'm very, very sure that the party may have picked up that same intelligence we did, that Aduomi was campaigning on the back of his deputy roads minister position and telling the people, you see the 21 kilometers of roads that have been done in your constituency, I did it. It was because of my instrumental leadership. The president took time to address this, and this is what he said. He says, no road in Ghana can be constructed without my permission. What is the president saying? Even if Aduomi claims he did it, he didn't do it because ultimately I will have to give permission for the roads to be done. So if you really want to credit anybody, ultimately, you credit me, the president, and not the deputy roads minister. The president is telling you that there's some credit to what Aduomi is saying, and people must disregard it somehow. Key question, will the electorate disregard Aduomi's campaign message on the ground and listen to the president? And he makes a second point that the roads minister himself had made before, the new roads minister, that NPP MPs needed to catch the attention of the president, of an NPP president. And so if you don't elect the man who we've put up as a candidate tomorrow, the chances are, whoever you elect, if he's not on our ticket, in the case of Aduomi, he may not get my attention to get your roads done. That is a subtle threat, is it? I'll see if my panelists agree with me on this. One thing I want to do before I sit is listen to Aduomi himself yesterday, just after the president had campaigned against him in the constituency. He had this to say about the accusations leveled against him that he is a sour loser, right? He lost that primary I showed you, and now he is out to get the party when he himself replaced a sitting cabinet member. He had this to say to the president.
I don't want to say anything bad against the president. He is the president of Ghana. I'm not a traitor. When I lost the primaries, did I go independent? I did not. I took it in faith. But when there is an issue that is contrary to the guidelines and regulations of the NPP party, and people raise concerns, if they are good leaders, they should have solved it. If they are saying that I'm a traitor, even while I'm outside, the projects that I and Kofi Job we are doing, they all favor NPP. Aduomi is not a traitor. They should learn to be good leaders and solve problems that are in the party so that the party can stand up. I'm telling you, NPP has no spirit in Ejisu constituency and even in Ashanti region.
Okay. So that there is him, his response to the president there campaigning against him. I'm going to take a quick break. When I return, my guests will join me to have this conversation looking forward to tomorrow. We'll hear from the Electoral Commission. We'll hear from the NPP's national organizer. We'll hear from Global Info Analytics. We'll hear from Aduomi's own man who's been leading his campaign on the show. It's a big day tomorrow. It promises possible to pull some surprises. I want to tap into that and hear how everybody's primed up for this tomorrow, which is going to be here on your election headquarters. And thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. It's a very, very interesting campaigning that is happening on the ground in Ejisu, and we are tapping into that. We began on analyzing this already. It's quite an interesting bit there in Ejisu. And you see behind me the elephant, because the NPP is going solo. Many will say it's NPP against NPP, really. It's a national elections, it's a by-election. NDC isn't in the race, but it's NPP against NPP. And that is why this is promising to be a very interesting day tomorrow. But first, let's make some money. And PMS is always brought to you by Syntex Tanks. It is strong, it is tough. Our Lumobators experience greatness in every moment. Ghana AIDS Commission, Pepsodent, every smile matters. And if you really want to store water, you don't want to look anywhere else than to look at Syntex Tanks, because they is the first to introduce a double layer tank. And now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tanks is first introduced the white inner layer tanks in Ghana. We now introduce you to the customer specs order, which lets you order any color and size of preference. Syntex Tank gives you the longest warranty of 7 years, which no other tank gives you in Ghana. So whatever your water consumption, size of product or demand, just choose Syntex Tanks. Call them because they are nationwide. 0244335168 or shop online at syntexgh.com. Air strong, air tough. And what about Pepsodent? If you are brushing your teeth before you sleep tonight, make sure it is Pepsodent you're using, because they have profluoride and microcalcium ingredients. They seal those tiny and invisible holes in your teeth, and they prevent cavities, keeps your teeth strong and mouth healthy. And you can afford it too, because they come in 175G all the way down to 12G sachets. So you can always get what you can afford at any time. Pepsodent, every smile matters. My guest joining me for a conversation, as I've indicated earlier today. In the studio with me is the head of the Global Info Analytics, Nana Boakye. Nana B will join me also. He's a national organizer of the NPP who joined me from Ejisu. Everybody's there campaigning. These are last minutes, and last minutes are dangerous in politics, and they are there on the ground. So he'll join me via phone briefly. Musa Dankwa is Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, and I just did a quick highlight on some of the things he found when they polled in Ejisu. Dr. Kwame Asa Asante is a Senior Political Science Lecturer, University of Ghana, also joins me and Nana Osei Bonsu is the lead for the Communal Aduomi's campaign. And he also will join me via phone. But I want to start now with Dr. Siribo Kweku. He's the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. They have the big task of ensuring that this goes smoothly tomorrow. Dr. Kweku, are we ready?
And good evening to my colleagues on the panel. By the grace of God, everything is set. We are planning that tomorrow by 6:30, our materials will be at the polling station so that we can take off at 7. So everything is set.
Okay. So in terms of the materials, are they on their way? Are they in their constituency? Where are they now?
The materials go to the constituency on Friday.
Okay.
So we use the Saturday, Sunday, and today to do the packaging and boxing.
Okay.
So if you go to our office now, they are all set. We take off tomorrow dawn to do the distribution.
Tomorrow dawn to do the distribution. And I'm interested in security. This is Ashanti region. This is a place where you yourself was a EC commissioner for a long, long time. So you know the terrain very, very well.
I was regional director, not commissioner.
Oh, yes. Regional director. And I'm elevating you, so Babi, I come back to the regional directorship that you held there for a long time. You know the terrain. In terms of security, do you have the assurances you need?
The security is being handled by the national. So the directors at the headquarters of the police are almost everybody is in town.
Okay.
So they are beefing up with the regional command. But I think the national is in charge. So like it happened in Kumawu, they are here in their huge numbers.
So you are confident that you can work in an atmosphere of peace and security tomorrow to deliver a poll that will be free and fair?
Yeah, God will do it through the police.
What about the... Please go on. Please proceed.
And we will also do our best to maintain our integrity, to do what we are known doing best. So we can promise all Ghanaians and all the candidates that will do professional work tomorrow.
Have you engaged the parties ahead of this? And I say the parties, knowing that the NDC is not in a race. But of course, we have the NPP and we have the Aduomi camp where the main tension and friction had been. Have you engaged these players ahead of this? And what sort of assurance?
On Saturday, there was a meeting between the Security Electoral Commission and the candidates, so it has been done.
Okay, and you receive assurances from the candidates themselves that they will ensure that this is peaceful?
There's some form of suspicion, especially between the Aduomi camp and the NPP, but not against the Electoral Commission. But there are some conspiracy theory that we are going to help the NPP to do whatever. But we let them know that we are working with the law, so everything will be done peacefully and according to law.
And you're right, because the Aduomi camp did a press conference and they laid out this grand scheme they alleged elaborately conceived to rig the polls there. You're showing tonight that you have no plans of doing so.
I don't know who gave them those piece of information, but that is not our modus operandi. We don't help candidates who win election. The voters will vote and we will declare what the voters have decided. Okay. When we're going to Kumawu, the same conspiracy theory was there, but when everybody accepted that we've done the professional work, so we'll do that same thing tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Dr. Siribo Kweku there. He's on the ground in the Ejisu constituency ahead of tomorrow. He says everything is ready. And ahead of this, there have been accusations, as he's just been addressing, leveled against the Electoral Commission by the Aduomi camp that there's an elaborate scheme to rig the polls in favor of the NPP. He just dismissed that. And there's been a meeting where they've assured the parties, especially the Aduomi camp, that this isn't going to happen. In the studio with me is Musa Dankwa with the Global League for Analytics. And Musa Dankwa, your poll is interesting, that this is going to be a close race. But I throw in the factors that you have to throw in if you're really considering what might happen. One is the fact that the NDC is not in the race, and the people who typically will vote NDC right now are most likely going to vote for Aduomi, And in fact, intelligence we have is that the NDC, they've been on the ground campaigning, telling their members, vote for Aduomi. What have you picked up beyond what your polls tell you?
Thank you very much. We've picked intelligence from the ground that is going to be very close. Our poll doesn't suggest a winner. It suggests a leader.
Okay.
Because the margin that Kwabena Boateng has over Aduomi is 3.1%. And the margin of error for the poll is 3.4%.
Okay.
Which means that anybody can win this election tomorrow. Now, if you look at why Aduomi is doing very well, it's because of ground coalition that backs him at the moment in Ejisu. You see he's getting nearly 2/3 of floating voters.
Yeah.
He's getting over 92% of NDC supporters. He's getting 95% of smaller parties. And he's getting close to 60% of people who did not disclose their party affiliation to us. And he's getting 36% of NPP support. So that is the reason why he's looking very competitive. Now, indeed, according to our model, if he's able to attract 40% of NPP support tomorrow, he could win.
And that is a factor that is important, right?
Yes.
But I'm also interested in the NDC. You polled the NDC voters. And they also told you something in terms of...
Yes, they are voting for Aduomi.
They also want to have a say in the election.
Yes.
Although their parties in the race.
Absolutely.
Why, though? Did you try and find out?
I think it's a tactical voting. And also in by-election, you want the chance to spike the nose of the ruling party. Anywhere in the world, by-elections are an opportunity for people to vent their anger against the establishment or against the ruling government. And I think this is giving them the chance to do so. Not even just MDC or other party members, but even among the NPP voters. Why is it that almost over a third are voting for Aduomi in this election?
And it's important, and we need to put that in context. This is happening at the time when, for the first time under this current government, we're having Dumso. And the Ashanti region has borne the brunt of this. If you talk to anybody there, we have a station there, so we know this. And the poll is coming around the same time that it's reached its peak. Historically, Ghanaians don't forgive when it comes to Dumso. Do you think that's going to be a factor in this, in how people vote tomorrow?
It could be, but we haven't polled that specifically to say that, definitely it's going to be an issue. But certainly, when it comes to by-election, people look for every sort of excuse or reason to punish the government. I think it's a very, very wrong time for them to have this by-election.
Okay, and those numbers that we showed at the beginning are absolutely important. Aduomi obviously is pulling floating voters, you said. He's pulling NDC voters. It appears, if you really want to put your head on the chopping block, it appears he may actually be a front runner. Would you say so? May.
I can't go outside the numbers and say that he's a front runner, but I can say that he has the momentum.
Okay. Why do you say that? Explain.
Because for somebody who is not from the NPP to pull that number, it means that his guys are more likely to come out and vote. My fear for NPP is that they may find it difficult to convince their guys to come out to vote tomorrow. And if they don't, that wasn't the case. But the Aduomi guys, they are more motivated, more energized to vote tomorrow. And that's what...
And where's the motivation coming from?
It's the desire to poke the nose of the government in power in any by-election. It's just something that motivates the opposition normally.
Yeah, I mean, you use the word opposition.
Yes.
But this is a family feud that has gone bad.
Yes.
Because he's MPP true and true.
Yes.
He, until recently, was a deputy minister. He has been MP there on a particular party for 3 times. He holds a record when it comes to percentage of votes. So this is somebody who is very well known. I'm curious whether in your polling, do people make the distinction between the individual and the party? Yes. Because the party says, for example, that he only won because of the MPP. And if the MPP isn't backing him and is going independent, don't vote for him.
I think that is the misconception many political analysts have been carrying in this country for long. When it comes to elections, the individuals matter. And also, we are moving into a system where the parties are no longer religious bodies. They are just parties. People live and join. So those days where people were extremely partisan is waning, and they must realize that. So he can be an MPP, but say, look, this guy is good, I'm voting for him. And that is happening under their feet, and they haven't realized.
And I want to bring in senior political science lecturer at the University of Ghana Political Science Department, Dr. Asante, who's joining me now via Zoom. Hello, Doc.
Good evening. Good evening to your viewers.
Chip in for me. Where do you stand on this Aduomi factor?
It's going to be super interesting in that constituency, in the sense that if you're looking at MPP and Ashanti region, obviously this is a stronghold of the MPP. And they always, if you want to go along the lines of a dominant party model, we are saying that in such a model, it's just how we explain elections in political science. We have the dominant party model where people vote en bloc based on the party's tradition, ideology, party tradition and whatnot. So message and other things doesn't really matter. But if you match that one against what we call the rational choice model, where people vote based on certain things that they derive from the election, i.e., what? Roads, policies, programs, and then even the person who contests for the election, then that one is also a different story. You are going to see a mix of these things being thrown out there in that constituency. You are going to see those who are saying that, look, Aduomi is good, but we stand through and through NPP people, so we are going to make sure that the NPP wins and wins hands down. That is the dominant party model. Of course, you are going to also have some people that, look, it's what we derive from this. Under the leadership of Aduomi, we had road fix, we have had this and that. So for that reason, we are going to support him. That's the rational choice. So you are going to have a collision of these two factors in there. So not necessarily the party tradition or the other factors that I've talked about, but any of these things and the multiples of other ones could also come in and influence the choice of the voters. It's going to be interesting. But normally, when you see an independent candidate from a stronghold who has this great record behind him in 2008, 2012, 2016, with this huge, votes behind him, then a cause for worry for the political party, which is incumbent in that area. So it's going to be very, very, very tight, very, very interesting. You just oppose this thing on the info analytics, the kind of work that they did. They are telling you that it's going to be, if there's going to be a winner, it's going to be a slim margin. That means that it's a game for everybody. What will play out is one, your strategy, your resource, the way you organize in podcasts, and what we call the night before. This time tonight, I tell you, things are going to happen. A lot of influencers, you are going to see inducements, you are going to see change of mind, you are going to see manipulation to the highest level. And that is where you see the dominant party model standing against what? Rational choice.
Stay with me. Let me bring in the national organizer of the NPP, and then Abuachi himself from the Ashanti region, and he's there on the ground and joins us on phone now. And Abi, thanks for your time here on PM Express. This is the eve before the big day tomorrow. What is your confidence level that you beat Aduomi to it when it comes to it by 5 p.m. tomorrow?
Good evening to Dr. Asante and then the other panelists. The New Patriotic Party, we are very confident that tomorrow we are going to be victorious. We've waged an effective campaign. We've sent our message across. We've gone to the communities, we've gone to homes, we've visited caves, we've gone to the markets, mosque, everywhere. So we are very confident that we are going to win tomorrow. But we are also mindful that we are coming up against an opponent, yes, who has been a 12 years NP, but then we should also know that He was not 12 years MP as an independent candidate. He was a 12-year MP as an MPP member. He was an Elephant Party member. So all the things that he did it because he was an MPP member. And then we should not forget, he was appointed as Deputy Minister for Roads under the NPP government, and because he was an MPP MP. So Ejisu is MPP and MPP is Ejisu. We had some misinformation channeled, and we've corrected all of those impressions. I mean, and it's quite clear that as I speak, the New Patriotic Party will win tomorrow. Lawyer Kwabena Boateng, our candidate, is going to be the next MP for Ejisu.
You said you have some misinformation. What are you referring to?
No, because our opponent has been 12-year MP. There's this misinformation that he is the one doing rules with his own pocket money, which clearly is false. It cannot be true. He was able to lobby some projects to the constituency. He did that because he was an MP, he was an MPP member, he was a Deputy Minister for Roads. And we have corrected, that impression.
And you think that people can make that distinction? Because this is somebody who's been campaigning with this for so long before he even went independent.
No, as I speak, I'm telling you, they know. They are not gullible. Yes, you have some footprints there, but they also know that they voted for you because you are MPP. And some are even of the view that you have been ungrateful to the party. Why? Because we also had an MP who was a cabinet minister. You took this cabinet minister out. He never went independent. He stood behind the party. He campaigned for you in 2008, 2012, in 2016. Honorable Oseji, right? And even John Kuma tried the first time to take you out. It didn't work. He tried the second time, and it worked. The first time when it didn't work for him, he never left the party. Right? And then coupled with the fact that now it is clear the NDC, they've issued a letter saying that they are supporting Aduomi. They've given him some logistics, some cash and all of that. It's all over.
But those are allegations that are not substantial.
They are not allegations. You see, on multimedia station Aduomi FM, I was on the show with Yamin when he boldly and clearly stated that he is entreating all NDP members to vote for Aduomi, and they are going to support him.
Yeah, but
you have the Ashanti Regional. I'm coming. You have the Ashanti Regional chairman saying that they were going to support him, not only with their vote, but they were going to mobilize resources and logistics to support him.
Yeah, but that is the MP. But that's if you didn't have a horse in the race and you had somebody who was going to destroy your arch enemy, you get people to vote for him. Isn't that?
Yes, but that is the more reason why there's this leaked letter from Fifi Kwete. Directing the Ashanti Regional Party to support Mr. Aduomi.
Yeah, but you're going beyond that to say that there's a letter, but there's also the cars
unless you have not seen it.
I don't have the evidence to support that.
You haven't seen it, I'll send it to you.
But of course, it's not verified. It's not something that I can authenticate, even if you did send it to me.
Yes, but that's what I'm trying to say. And then even their actions, corroborate that. So the fact of the matter is that now they are aware that, this is not out of good intentions, right? So, as I said, Ejisu is NPP and MPP is Ejisu. We've waged an effective campaign. We have a parliamentary candidate who is very articulate, is young, who is energetic, very respectful, down to earth. And we are very confident that we've sold him enough, and tomorrow he's going to emerge victorious.
Now, in the 2020 election, since you brought up the NDC, they lost against John Kuma, but they had 14,000 votes there. You clearly, from what you're saying, if the NDC is campaigning, assuming that number stays constant, at least majority of that number votes and 10,000 votes for Aduomi, you are in trouble.
Oh, we are not going to be in trouble, not at all. If you consider the vote difference, it was almost about almost 55,000 or so. Right. So majority of the MPP members, vast majority, they are going to vote for the MPP. They are going to go the MPP way. Yes, you cannot discount the fact that our opponent may have some loyalists who may go his way. That is fine. But we are very certain that at the end of the day, we are going to secure enough votes to have clear win tomorrow.
Nana Osei Bonsu is a lead for the Kwabena Aduomi's campaign team, and he also joins us on the phone right now briefly. Nana, quickly, respond to this for me. You have backing from the NDC, do you not? Hello, Nana, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
You have the NDC's backing.
NDC's backing, I think.
In the Ejisu constituency ahead of tomorrow.
Well, the Ejisu constituents are rooting for Honorable Owusu Edio. People of Ejisu, when you mention NDC, I'm not too sure the particular people you are referring to.
Well, the allegation from the NPP is that there's an official backing from the NDC and a directive, really, that Aduomi gets your support, and that the NDC is mobilizing people to ensure that people go out there, NDC folks, either to campaign for him or to mobilize support for him. Is that true?
That is not true. That's not true. I've seen letters making rounds on social media, and I understand NDC has officially issued a statement or commented on the said letter which is making rounds on social media. It is surprising, therefore, that NPP now seeks to rely on that fake news to propagate what I find to be a funny or a laughable lie.
But you are into politics. You want to win. Every vote matters. NDC secured 14,000 votes there. You want NDC folks to vote for you, true or false?
Well, the people of Ejisu are going to decide tomorrow. And the people of Ejisu have NPP and Ejisu. Wherever the people choose to represent them tomorrow, it's for the people to decide. We are not segregated. We are capacity for you. And so it doesn't matter if NPP or NPP voting for us. We just do not care. What matters most to us is that tomorrow we secure our victory, and then we'll get the opportunity to represent the good people of Ejisu.
And Nana B, quickly before I let you go, in the Ashanti region, the precedent going into tomorrow isn't good for you. You have Fomina, where another strong candidate goes independent, contests against the party's chosen candidate, and wins. You have Bekwai, where Joe Owusu also did same and wins. Now you have Aduomi, another formidable candidate. He's gone independent. History is important in politics. I'm pretty sure you guys have paid attention to that going into tomorrow. That's not bode well for tomorrow, does it?
Oh, we've paid attention to everything. I mean, in politics, you don't have to discount anything. We've paid attention to everything. I mean, clearly, there are similar facts, but obviously they are distinct and separate from each other. So,
where's the distinction in this one? What makes this one distinct?
We do not have an MP who served, right, as an MP, and then you were booted out, and then you did not contest as an independent candidate, and then you are now coming back as an independent candidate. No. So that is why I'm saying that they are distinct, they are separate, and obviously you can compare some of the issues in there, but you cannot say that the outcome will be the same. No, not at all. And we've had Kumewu, where we also had a formidable independent candidate coming from the stocks of NPP. And then, yes, he did well, and then when we went for the by-election, he performed abysmally poor, very poor, and then he came from the MPP stock as well. But then when he contested again, Honorable Baswa, he did so well. In fact, he did so well to the extent that even I recall that multimedia even predicted that there could be a win for him during the by-election because of how well he performed during the main elections. So yes, we've considered all of these issues, and then we are very confident that our candidate in Ejisu is going to emerge victorious.
Have you, again, with this history in mind, this precedent, have you even paused to consider what if Aduomi repeats this precedent? Will we work with him in the next few months before elections in Parliament?
You see, my answer will be this. So, as MPP, a political entity, we have a parliamentary candidate. You have been an MP before 3 terms. You've served as an MPP MP, right? And then you go independent, and we have a candidate in there. I'm not sure you are suggesting that we should say that the MPP should say that, oh, whoever wins, you are going to work with the president. Is that what you are saying?
Well, it's a question I'm asking. I'm wondering if you thought about
I'm also asking you. So that is why we are a political entity. We have a parliamentary candidate.
Okay.
We have to make sure he wins. And by God's grace, he's going to win tomorrow. So that is it. So sometimes when I'm confronted by this question, I wonder, in our constitution, if you go independent, meaning that you are going against the party's candidate.
Yeah, I mean,
for that matter,
I've heard you say, I've had MPP folks say this, but in the Formina case, he's doing business with you, you know, you're fine. Joe Sowusu's back in your fold, and so when it suits the party, that clause you're just quoting.
But that is what I'm trying to say, that when we have the candidate, what are you trying to say? So His Excellency the President should come into Ejisu and say that because we have an independent candidate who has been MPP member before, but now he's not, vote for anybody, and then I can work with the president.
I'm actually asking post the elections.
I think that we're having a discussion, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, we have a candidate. We have to make sure the candidate wins. That is period.
Okay.
Evans.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And
we have a candidate. We have sold him very well. Very young person. He's a legal practitioner. He's a lecturer as well at the university, and he can represent the good people very well. So, yes.
Is this for you, and I know you are one who believes in research, is the outcome tomorrow from your polling, is this going to be close, or do you see this being a significant wide margin?
We are going to have a clear win.
Okay.
The MPP is going to win with a clear margin.
Okay.
For that I can say. I mean, I'm not relying on a discredited, info analytics and how they conduct their polls. And it looks like somebody sitting in his own, living room, and then he will just conjure some figures and then just throw it out there. No, that is not. But we have a credible backing, and I'm saying that we are going to win tomorrow. By God's grace, we are going to win. And it's going to be a win-win-win with a clear margin.
Okay. And Abi, thank you very much. And how do you respond to that?
The whole country knows we are credible. The whole world knows we are credible. Even when they come out to bash us in public, it's our poll that they read every night. So I'm not surprised. It's a line they've been saying for all this while. But we're not really concerned about what they've been saying. It is tomorrow that our work will come to bear. I think we've shown that several times that we can be taken very serious.
I want you to comment for me on that historical precedent that I just cited. Would it play a role at all? Because, again, it's coming from the stronghold. And you have two historical facts, precedents to point to, very similar to what is happening in Ejisu right now. How much do you read into that? Do you dismiss it, or do you pay attention to it?
It depends on whether Aduomi would have used that as a message in his campaign. But every by-election is different. And also every constituency is unique. And you cannot really transpose Formina to Ejisu. But what we've seen clearly shows that the race is not going to be a walk in the park. And look, whoever wins tomorrow will depend on turnout. Are you able to turn out your people to come out and vote tomorrow?
Historically, by-elections don't get...
Historically, you don't get that number. Yeah. But those who get to come and vote, they are normally the ones who are trying to unseat the ruling government. So I think that the momentum will be on the side of Aduomi. If you ask me, with the momentum. Now, the MPP has to whip their people to come out to vote. And when they do come out to vote, they must vote massively for their candidate. Because if they come out to vote and they vote in a way that is not favorable to their candidate, they could deliver the victory to Aduomi tomorrow if they don't vote the way they should.
Dr. Asante, what's your comment on that precedent I just referred to from the Ashanti region in particular, where you had two instances just like this, formidable candidate, goes independent, stands against the party's chosen candidate in the national elections and wins?
You can't throw away history when you are looking at politics, because history is the guide between the present and the past, and they have great influence in the choices people make. All right, they serve as a learning curve for people. So they realize that normally people go into this independent candidate position simply because of dissatisfaction within the party, sometimes due to anti-party sentiment, inter-party, flaws and all that. So all these things become grievance that it bottles up within people, and if it gets across the electorate, then it becomes difficult to manage. If you don't manage them well and it slips through your fingers, they come out in their numbers, they vote against the party. So history will play a role, there's no doubt about that. The ability to turn things one way or the other would depend on, one, your ability to have a strategy that can really get you the vote. And if you look at the Aduomi, NDC people are campaigning for him. That is a big one. They will go all out in terms of resources and in terms of strategy and all that. Remember, it doesn't matter how you win power. I mean, who gets what, when and how. Once you grab it, and it doesn't matter the margin, because you are looking at the system, which is first past the post system. One vote will move you from a candidate to become an MP. So they are not interested. The Aduomi's camp is not, and I'm sure the NPP camp is not also interested in the margins between them. No, win and get somebody into parliament, because remember, it's going to change the chemistry. If Aduomi is supposed to win tomorrow's election, the chemistry in parliament is going to change, and they're going to tilt against the NPP. So that is where the real devil is. So strategy will count a lot. Resources will play an important role this night to be able to make sure that they soften the grounds, and then messages that will resonate with people will always be the key. But if you look at Ashanti region, this election, not only in this by-election, then 2024, what I see from where I sit is that apathy, if they don't work on that, is going to create a problem. If they are not going to get the large army of people who are going to support the party, then it's a different story. But when they come in their numbers, then it could also change the tide for the NPP, because you are dealing with a constituency which is a stronghold of the party. So the dominant party model is there. People, when you give them the right message and the right psychology injected into their way of thinking, straight away the dominant party model moves. So you vote en bloc, and that favors it. But if all that I've said, you are going to have negative, then obviously it's going to be the day for Aduomi. I know that it's going to be super, super interesting, and we are looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait till tomorrow. We have a special show coming your way tomorrow from 5 to 8 p.m. We call it the results show. We're just going to be focusing on the outcome, because that's where the game is. Throughout the day, our shows from morning, from 6 a.m. all the way till 5 p.m. We'll be giving you updates on what is happening in the voting, the incidents, reporting, etc. But at 5, we'll bring you that special coverage of the way only the election headquarters can. And one of the things that he said there that is important, we haven't even emphasized, is that the outcome tomorrow can change the dynamics in Parliament significantly. If Aduomi wins, NPP will lose a seat in Parliament. That reduces them into minority instantly. And then Aduomi becomes the kingmaker.
Yeah.
Everybody will be courting him.
Everybody will be courting him.
And that is a big deal.
I don't know whether he can choose to remain independent.
Historically and traditionally,
he has to pick a side.
He has to pick a side. Yeah, and which side does he pick? That will be very interesting.
That's very interesting.
That'll be very interesting. And that is why tomorrow there's a lot riding on. You don't want to miss this. Tomorrow on your election headquarters from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. you really want to join us. But from morning throughout, please stay. And as you know, accusations have been flying around. The EC just addressed it. In the lead-up to the election, when you hear accusations, note that it's going to set the stage for some acrimonious voting also. We'll keep an eye on that, all here on your election quarters. Thank you very much, and we'll return to you at the end of the poll. We're going to get him to join us tomorrow via Zoom or in the studio when the results come in, because he had already projected, based on their polling, what the outcome could be. And when the results come, we'll bring him here to see if indeed the results validate what they found on the ground. Stay with us tomorrow. This is your election headquarters. My name is Eman Spencer.